Okay, I think we're back. Yeah, I just had a my computer crash, so I'm just gonna restart this live. I don't even think anyone was in here anyway. So here I am again. Um, Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna get rid of that old live. Let's see here. This. Uh, yeah, private. Okay. Anyway, while that's going, um, okay, it's Thursday, so new comic book day was yesterday. And today, I want to talk about two of my favorite comic book creators of all time. We're going to kind of go through this again. I got my coffee. um, and kind of just to repeat myself, what I've been wanting to do with these lives is, until I get more people in here to interact with, is kind of use these as like a way to do my regular videos where I just talk about like a specific topic related to comic books or like pop culture, but mostly comic books. I have a really big comic book and omnibus collection. Um, and if you watch my other content, you can kind of get an idea of like what these videos are going to be like. But yeah, so today what I want to talk about is the Romitas, John Romita Sr. and John Romita Jr. I have a huge amount of their work in my collection. They're two of my favorite creators of all time. Uh, father son duo, and they were really important to comic books. And I've been lucky enough to be able to meet John Romita Jr. a few times, 3 or 4 times now at different conventions and stuff like that in North Carolina. He's a really great guy. So yeah, let me just talk about like my first ever exposure to John Romita Jr.'s work would be his modern work. Um, on I think I was reading J. Michael Straczynski's Spider-Man. And John Romita Jr. has had there's kind of so there's something about John Romita Jr. is that he has two different styles, right? The way he began his career, and then he like halfway through his career, he kind of shifted his style to take on like a more modern look. And this divides some people because some people are really more a fan of his old school look, which looks more like his work, the work of his father, John Romita Sr. But I'm actually a fan of his old school look, and I'm a fan of his newer art. So that was my first exposure, and then I kind of got into his older style of his art in the John Romita in the Spider-Man by Roger Stern run, because John Romita Jr.'s on that run, and that's like before he changed his style, and I really like that. And then it never really clicked for me why people like John Romita Sr.'s work so much, but like recently I started to really appreciate it, and I picked up a bunch of uh, comics that are from Spider-Man from John Romita Sr. So that's probably John Romita Sr.'s like biggest contribution to comic books would be from like the early ish excuse me, would be from the early issues of Spider-Man. I think that's probably what he's most well known for. And like I said, I've just recently like decided that, I really like his work, and I've started to pick up more of it. Hold on 1 sec. Let me just make sure my mic is going here. It is. Check, check. Okay, there we go. All right, so showing this again. Hopefully my computer doesn't crash this time. But right here we have my earliest issue of Spider-Man. This is like this may be the earliest bit of John Romita Sr. work that I own, and this is Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 42. And this book is actually kind of a major key. It's the let me see. This is the second appearance of Rhino, and I believe that's Rhino there. Here, I'll switch my view. So this is Rhino right here, and without a suit on. So that's pretty cool. Second appearance of Rhino. I would love to get the first appearance of Rhino. That book can be very valuable. So I have to really try to find one that's in, the condition that I could actually acquire it. So probably on the low end. But I am looking for that because it would be cool to have these set of 3 books that I'm about to talk about. Second appearance of Rhino. First full appearance of Mary Jane Watson, which I think is so sweet to have that in my collection. I think Mary Jane's a really cool character. It's on the final panel. And then this is when she delivers her famous line, "Face it, Tiger, you've hit the jackpot." And I believe later on in modern comics, she becomes a hero in her own right, which would be Jackpot. She becomes a hero named Jackpot. So this is just really cool. I love how John Romita Sr. draws Spider-Man. And you have to remember, John Romita Sr. was on this like so early. I think, who was the first artist ever to draw Spider-Man? Was that like Jack Kirby or Steve Ditko or something? And then after that, like directly after that, it would be John Romita Sr. So he's one of the guys that like pioneered Spider-Man's look, All right, so then we have this one with this is the third appearance of Rhino. Second appearance of Mary Jane Watson, and Peter and Mary Jane go on their first date in this one right here. And this is cool because you have Rhino actually in his, iconic Rhino costume. And again, just John Romita Sr.'s work is really beautiful. I love the way he draws Spider-Man. And I love having old books like this because this book is from 1966, right? So 60 years, almost 60 years old, this book, which is, it's really cool. I sometimes I think about like, what was the journey this book went on to find its way to me? You know what I mean? A 60-year-old book, half a century old book. And I just think it's really cool. I got an Avengers book. Here, I guess I'll just talk about this now. I got this Avengers book, and this one is actually, when is this from? Let me check this. This is Avengers 10. Oops. It's going to be down here. Hold on. Yeah, right here. Okay, so this book is from 1964. So 1 years or whatever old. And what's really cool about this book is that this is the what's this one? Oh, it's the first appearance of Immortus, a variant of King and Ramatut, right here. But what's even cooler is that it's the debut of the call to action Avengers Assemble, said by Thor. So this is the first ever Avengers Assemble, which I think is really cool. And I just love, and this is such an old book that I just think this is such a cool thing to have in the collection. I love that it has like the original cast and crew there of the Avengers. And yeah, I don't know. Like I was saying, I just think it's really cool to think about like what it took to actually end up in my collection. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's this book, but we'll get back to that in a minute. Going back to John Romita. So the next one I have is this issue right here. This is Amazing Spider-Man 49. See, focus camera. There we go. Amazing Spider-Man 49. It's not a key issue, but it's just an appearance of the Vulture and of Kraven the Hunter, which I thought was pretty cool because Kraven was just in that movie. And Vulture's a cool character too. And it's just an early, John Romita Sr. work. So I'll buy this stuff all day long. And I just, like I said, because they just come out with the Kraven movie and stuff, and because I've been getting into John Romita Sr. artwork, I decided to add this one to the collection. Okay, this next one is Amazing Spider-Man 95. This is again Stan Lee and John Romita Sr. And it's not really a key. It's kind of a key because Spider-Man visits London, which, as we know from the MCU, that did happen in one of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. I also saw something recently about like saying that another like something about like the new Spider-Man movie was shooting in London or something, which I didn't think that. And leave a comment if you know more about this, but apparently, and maybe what I saw is wrong, but I saw something about the new Spider-Man with Tom Holland and the Spider-Man 4 being shot in London. So I don't know if that just means the studio is there or that it's going to take place in London. But from what happened at the end of the last Spider-Man movie, I was under the impression that Spider-Man was going to be in New York. Like they set up the whole thing about him going back to New York, getting the traditional costume, not going to college with his friends and everything. So I'd be surprised if like maybe just part of that movie takes place in London. I don't know. But this is cool because it's just so out of place. And I think it's just a cool occurrence. Plus, look how John Romita Sr. draws Spider-Man. It's so cool. I really love it. And I love the gradient on the Spider-Man logo. All right, hold on. I need some coffee. So yeah, another early John Romita Sr. book. Really cool. Then I have this one right here. This is Amazing Spider-Man 136. And this is the first appearance of Harry Osborn as the Green Goblin. So that's a key. This was, I guess, 136. I thought John Romita Jr. may have been on the book by now, but no, apparently this is still John Romita Sr. And then you have Harry and his father. Oh, God, what is his father? It's Harry Osborn and, oh my gosh, why can't I remember this? Norman Osborn, right. So it's Harry Osborn and Norman Osborn fighting there at the bottom. And then the Green Lantern and Spider-Man. It's just cool to have that, this stuff drawn by John Romita Sr. One thing I want to say about John Romita Sr. too is that, so John Romita Jr. comes to Heroes Con almost every year. And a couple years ago, when he was supposed to come, he ended up not coming because, unfortunately, I think it's got to be like 2 years ago now, or 2 or 3 years ago. John Romita Sr. did pass away, which is, of course, that's just we lost one of the greats in terms of comic book creators, one of the best ever, and obviously John Romita Jr. didn't come to the con that year, but yeah, he did, it's a shame, but he did recently pass away. But John Romita Jr. is still coming to all the cons. He's on Instagram and stuff. His wife does like Instagrams of him and stuff like that, and he's still working on comic books. He's still doing. I know he was doing Spider-Man recently. I'm not sure what he's on right now, like what's ongoing that John Romita Jr. is doing right now, but I know he's still working on comic books. So that's pretty great. And like I said, what he's working on now is you're going to get his modern style. So we haven't reached there yet, but that's just a little something about, the Romitas currently. Let me change the angle of this slightly. There we go. All right, now we're going to get into some John Romita Jr. So right here, this is, what is this? This is Spider-Man 239, and it's the second appearance of the Hobgoblin and the first battle of Spider-Man and the Hobgoblin. And now this is John Romita Jr.'s work. And as you can see here, it's very reminiscent of John Romita Sr.'s work. So John Romita Jr.'s early stuff, I definitely think he learned a lot from his father, which is, a good thing because, John Romita Sr. is a great artist. And this is during Roger Stern's run, which, by the way, I have the whole omnibus for. So here, this big book is, and I've done a review of this on my channel. This is Spider-Man by Roger Stern. I'm actually surprised it doesn't say Spider-Man by Roger Stern and John Romita Jr. on the side, but they just credited Roger Stern on the front because John Romita Jr. does like most of the art in this book, and we'll flip through this in a minute. But I've read this run, and it is really good. It's classic Spider-Man stuff. I think this is like, this must be Bronze Age or something, right? No, 83. So yeah, I guess that's like the very end of the Bronze Age. Um, it depends on what kind of comic reader you are. I read comics from all eras. Well, I don't read Golden Age, but I read Silver Age and up. And like I'll always say on this channel, like there are great, there are good parts about every era of comics, but you have to learn to appreciate, especially when you get to go to the Silver or Bronze Age. You have to learn to appreciate the things that make those comics special, because the writing and art is not going to be as good as modern writing and art. Not that it's not more important, or revolutionary in terms of what was going on in comics, but art in comic books has gotten better. Writing in comic books has gotten better over the time. So anyway, so all that to say, this is a great run of Spider-Man to read. It's a really good place to start. When I've done my lives sometimes on TikTok, people ask, like, if I were to start reading Spider-Man right now, where would you start? I would recommend this very highly. If not this though, and you want something more modern, I would start maybe with J. Michael Straczynski's run, which is John Romita Jr. as well, and that is more modern. And you could read from there on, or you could start a little before. Actually, now that I say that, maybe starting like around the David Michelini time would be better. But again, it's that's why, this is what I'm saying. It's hard to say sometimes where you should start reading Spider-Man, because I don't know, like, if a particular reader is gonna like 80s stuff or 90s stuff or modern. It just depends on what kind of comics you're looking for. But for modern, J. Michael Straczynski's run is really, really good. All right, going back to the stuff on the desk. So yeah, second appearance of Hobgoblin, first battle of Spider-Man and Hobgoblin, and this is, now we're seeing John Romita Jr.'s art on Spider-Man instead of John Romita Sr.'s. This is a key. What is this one? Oh, this is just a famous John Romita Jr. cover. Yeah, this is cool because this is one of John Romita Jr.'s most famous. I like to get it in this camera sometimes. I think this is one of John Romita Jr.'s most famous covers. It is obviously Spider-Man and the Hobgoblin, and I believe this is Roderick Kingsley Hobgoblin. There is, when the Hobgoblin first comes around, there's like one, and I guess I'm trying to remember this from reading my Roger Stern omnibus, but there's a character that gets set up as Hobgoblin, and he's kind of a fake Hobgoblin, and it's one of the first ones Spider-Man fights, and until like the real Hobgoblin that's been like stealing all the Norman Osborn stuff comes out. So I forget which one Roger Kingsley is, but it doesn't really matter. The thing you need to know about this is that this is a famous John Romita Jr. cover, and I really love it. It's really cool, and I think the Hobgoblin is a really cool character. And then here is what John Romita Jr.'s modern art looks more like. So this is Amazing Spider-Man 1, Zeb Wells. When did this come out? This was like a couple of years ago. And this was like the start of a new run, and I think John Romita Jr. like being on the book was like supposed to be like a big pull, to get people reading Spider-Man again. And I did read the beginning of this run. I didn't stick with it, not because it was bad, but just because I don't keep up with my modern comic books as much. I'm always reading my omnibuses, and I just I fell behind, and I started reading other things. As a reminder, this is, let me see here. I showed this like every live, but I don't care. I'm just going to show it again. So right here, this is my omnibus collection. So there's all my Venom and Spider-Man and everything else like that. J. Michael Straczynski. I've got Spider-Man 2099. I've got the entire Ultimate Spider-Man run and the Death of Ultimate Spider-Man. So I've got a lot of Spider-Man in my collection, and I just have a huge omnibus library. So this right here is the reason why, and we were moving in during this, so you're going to see some boxes, but this is why I am not always up to date on the latest of what's going on in modern comics, because I have all these omnibuses in my collection, and it just, you know, I have to read them. Well, I want to read them, but also it'd be silly if I bought all these things and I didn't read them. So anyway, going back to this book, now you can kind of see there's a you can't see it very much here, but there's a difference between John Romita's old style and his new. But a better example of that. Hold on one second. My sister's calling. Hi, Jordan. I'm live right now on YouTube, so I gotta go. I'll call you right when I'm done. Love you. Bye. This is what John Romita Jr.'s modern art looks like. It is, and this is kind of an extreme example of it, but this is it's very blocky, and I like it. Like I said before, but you can see there's a big difference between what this looks like and what this looks like, or even this. And I asked John Romita one of the times, not at HeroesCon, actually, he was at GalaxyCon, and it was great at GalaxyCon because John Romita Jr. has a huge line when he comes to HeroesCon in Charlotte, North Carolina, but in GalaxyCon is, they have like the celebrities that are in the TV shows and movies there. So the comic book creators don't have as big of a line, or any line really, at GalaxyCon. So he was at GalaxyCon, and I got to go up to him and actually like talk to him for a minute. And I was asking him, I know that his style of art has changed a little bit over the lifetime of him working on comics. And I asked if there was any influence of like Jack Kirby in his modern style, because Jack Kirby was a very like angular kind of artist, like not exactly blocky like John Romita Jr. is, but like I just saw some inspiration there. And he said, yeah, he actually talked to Jack Kirby, and he's the one who gave him this idea of like boxing everything out, and structuring your drawings that way. So and I'm probably not quoting him perfectly, but there was definitely an influence from Jack Kirby, the greatest comic book artist to ever do it, in how he structured his like more modern style. And I was happy that like I actually saw a connection there that was real. But yeah, his modern stuff. And then here's another book that this is The Man Without Fear, issue 1, Daredevil. That's another John Romita Jr. done in his like modern style, and he's dialed back like the blockiness, I think, a little bit in some of this more recent stuff like Spider-Man. But I like it. I'm all for it. I think his art style is great, and he has some really good stuff in like these other omnis. Let me see here. Where is my? Okay, this is a good example. Here's John Romita Jr. Captain America. This is Rick Remender's run, which, by the way, Rick Remender is a great author. He has written some really, really good stuff, especially his stuff that he did for Image. Black Science. What's the other one? It's right over there. Oh, Fear Agent. Fear Agent is so good. I think he did Deadly Class. I mean, it's hard to go wrong with Rick Remender, and he is the author in this run. And this is John Romita Jr. art right here on the front. I do think, actually, I also think this is, I think about halfway through here, this is when Falcon takes over as Captain America, which is very topical for the moment because, hold on a second. As we know, Falcon is the current Captain America in the MCU. So I'm pretty sure in this omnibus that I just pulled out, this is where Falcon becomes Captain America. So this is his modern art, Let me see if I can find a really good panel in here. I love it though. Oh yeah, look at this. I think it looks really good. So I don't know. There's some people out there that don't like John Romita Jr.'s. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know that I've ever heard someone say they don't like John Romita Jr.'s modern art, but I have heard people say they prefer his old school stuff, like when he was drawing more like John Romita Sr. I'm not really in that camp. I like his art all the way through. So, oh, and then I have some other stuff here. Speaking of famous John Romita Jr. covers, I have two right here. Uh, let's do. Well, actually, no. One of these isn't a cover that he did, but it's a famous book that John Romita Jr. is on. But this is a famous John Romita Jr. cover, and this one, kind of relevant to today as well because we've got Doom coming up in the Secret Avengers movie, played by RDJ. So, really cool book. I think this is literally just a key because, and as you can see, mine is signed by John Romita Jr. I got it signed at HeroesCon. Yeah, I think this is a key really just mainly because of like this cover is famous by John Romita. And I have read this book. What's going on in it is that they end up going back in time to like Camelot times, and they have to like work together to get out of there. It's kind of a silly story, but the cover is really cool. And this is John Romita Jr.'s older art style. So this book right here is a famous book that John Romita Jr. did the interior art. He did the interior art, but he did not do the cover. This was done by Bob Layton. And why is this famous? So as you can see, mine is signed. This is the Demon in a Bottle story that has to do with Iron Man's addiction to alcohol. A lot of people don't, and you can see this is Bob Layton right there, but a lot of people don't know that about Iron Man because they don't really touch on it in the MCU. I mean, they make him in the MCU, they definitely make him have his vices, but like in the comics, he's a full-fledged alcoholic. He even like relapses, or I remember there's one story where they made it look like he was relapsing as part of like a way to deceive someone, but it's like a known thing that he's an alcoholic in the comics. So, and I think that's pretty cool that that's a very human problem to give a superhero, and I think that's one of the reasons why, besides the fact that Bob Layton killed it on this cover. I mean, this is a really cool cover with the bottle there and his like his beard and everything. And this book can get quite expensive. This is definitely one that can be a little bit valuable. I feel like this. I think this on top end is like 180. This one though, this is Iron Man 129. It's like a $100 book. In high grade. Mine, like I always say on this channel, mine aren't necessarily high grade. I mean, I think both of these are in pretty good condition. I have a big spine tick right there, but. Oh wow, he really signed these. I never put these books like next to each other like this, but look how he signed his signature exactly the same on both. Yeah, but I always say this. It's when it comes to my books, I low grade is better than no grade. So if I can get them in my collection and they don't have like a major thing, like a major crease going right down the middle or something with the trade dress or whatever, that's what I'm looking for, and I just want them in my collection. I'm not quite on like Lunch Money Comics level where it's like I only want to go to a comic book store. And by the way, Lunch Money Comics is a great channel. If you don't watch Lunch Money Comics, go check out his channel. It's awesome. He actually inspired me to get a lot of different comic books that are now in my collection. So I really love his channel. Shout out. But he's really on the low end of like what he tries to spend when he goes to places. He's trying to spend lunch money, that's like the idea. I spend a little bit more on that when I go hunting for comic books, but at the same time, I'm looking for the same kind of thing. Like I'm looking for a book that's in low enough grade that I can afford it, but not low enough grade where it's missing half a cover or something, or a major corner of the book. All right, so that's a lot of my John Romita Jr. single issues that I have. What else did I have here? Yeah, I think we went through all these. All right, and then I have some more of his like modern stuff. So here's John Romita Jr. This is Hero's Return. This is Thor, and he was on this book. He's credited on the side there. This has some really cool stuff in it. There's a, I'm not gonna, I didn't bookmark it, but there's a page in here where, hold on, let me move my mic. Okay, look at that. That is actually dope. That's John Romita Jr. That's Juggernaut. I totally forgot that was there. But there's a page in here where, and by the way, this is a good run. I recommend this run, where Odin is like in chains. It is so cool. And I actually said that to John Romita Jr. one of the times I saw him at a convention. I was just reading that Thor, book, and oh, here we go. I don't know if this is the full thing, but that's Odin right there, and he's like chained up. Oh, there it is. Okay, here, hold on. I gotta move my Atrocitus that I just assembled. Atrocitus. So here is Odin in chains, and I think this is a really cool image done by John Romita Jr. And you got to read this book to figure out what was going on there. But it's really cool, and this is John Romita in his modern style, which again I really like. All right, and then I literally just pulled out all my omnibuses that have John Romita like on the on the side, and there's a lot of them. This one I bookmarked this page because this is that Cable issue that I showed earlier. But this is the full thing. It's a wraparound cover. See, as you can see here, it's very angular, like even his like Cable's shoulders and stuff like that, and the guns and everything. But it's really cool. And so this is what the interior art of this looks like. This is Cable #1. This is the first, not the first appearance of Cable, but look at this. This is dope. But the first ongoing Cable comic book, like his first solo titled series was this, and John Romita Jr. did the art. I love this stuff. I haven't read this issue, so this is kind of spoilery potentially, but look at that. That is dope. Very 90s. But yeah, I'm actually not going to look too far in that because I do need to read this X-Force omnibus still. And then we've got another book that he's credited on heavily, and that is this one right here, Iron Man by David Michelini, Bob Layton, and John Romita Jr. He did this cover art. Did I get this signed? No, I thought I maybe got this one signed. Let's see here. Is he doing? Yeah, so this is John Romita Jr. here, and now we're flipping back to when John Romita Jr. was doing his art style more like his father. And as you can see, there's a huge difference here. But this is all still really good stuff. There's Iron Man. Really cool stuff. How much of this have I read? I've read a little bit of this, but I have the Iron Man Epic collections, and I'm thinking that I want to read it maybe that way. Although this omnibus was one that was actually really it was really expensive at one point. And I got this one on eBay, and I can't remember. I think either this was just reprinted or they just reprinted Iron Man, Invincible Iron Man, but I don't know if it was this one or not. But yeah, this one used to be really valuable omnibus, but I don't think it is anymore. Okay. How long have I been going, Mary?
Like 30 minutes.
30 minutes? Mm-hmm. Okay. Coffee and comic books is great. And then I talked about I talked about Spider-Man by Roger Stern before, but just to mention it again, one of my favorite Spider-Man runs of all time. And I don't know if this was reprinted, but if you can get your hands on this book, I highly recommend it. Then we've got another omnibus that John Romita Jr. did the art for on the front. That's this one right here. This is the Prelude to the Mutant Massacre. And this is a huge This is a huge book. Yeah, because he was on X-Men for a while. Actually, let me grab this. I have another signed John Romita Jr. book right here. And this is X-Men 300, which might be in this. Yeah, it might be in this prelude to the Mutant Massacre omnibus that I was just talking about. This one's really cool. I found this one at a where did we find this? Maybe at an antiques place. And it's the first book that I ever like submitted to get graded. I had bought at this point. I had bought some other books that were already graded, but I had never gotten a book graded myself. Wow, there's some dust on this even. And it came back as a 9.6, which is pretty good. And I got it signed by John Romita Jr., so that's pretty awesome. So, yeah. So as you can see, like I've literally been talking about John Romita Jr. and John Romita Sr. so much I'm getting tongue-tied, but I've been talking about them for a half hour. So clearly they're two of my favorite comic book creators of all time. Okay. That's safely back up there. And then here, I think, like I said, we can kind of look. There's Colossus. I really like how he draws Storm. And I think at this point, this was like white hair mohawk Storm, which is pretty cool. Oh, there's some Storm. But yeah, this is really good. I haven't read this one yet. I've read a lot of X-Men, but I mean, there's so much X-Men out there. There's decades of X-Men, and so much of it is so good. And this is obviously another. This is during Chris Claremont's run that he had like almost a 2-decade run on X-Men. Here's one that I recommend for someone to start reading Spider-Man, which is J. Michael Straczynski's Spider-Man. I think this is a really, really good run. John Romita Jr. is credited there on the side. He does the art in here. It's so good. Let's see here. Look at this. I actually really like this panel because Spider-Man is like on the wall and he's just like hanging out, and then all of a sudden this guy starts talking to him and he looks over and he's like, what the heck is going on? How's this guy standing on the wall next to me? And then this character becomes kind of an important character for this arc of the run. And so this is really, this is such great stuff. What else? Something that's in here that is kind of significant is the 9/11 issue that John Romita Jr. Did draw. And it was, here it is. So they actually did an issue where the superheroes are basically seeing the aftermath of, actually this is kind of a famous, there you go. And John Romita Jr. drew this, so that's like the devastation of 9/11, and Spider-Man there saying God. I think there's some black pages. Yeah, it was a black issue when this came out. And they show the characters kind of helping the first responders. So as you can see here, we have like Spider-Man and the firefighters and police and nurses, whoever, the EMTs and whatever who was out there. I think this is a really touching thing. And of course, Spider-Man has super strength, so he's really going to be really helpful in this. And then this was something really special, I thought, is that you have Doctor Doom and Magneto seeing the devastation as well. And look at this, Doctor Doom is shedding a tear. Now, not to take away the seriousness of this, but I have read a comic where Doctor Doom just kills an entire universe. So I don't know how sad he'd really be, or if he'd really care. But I think it's nice that Magneto must really be able to help. There's a fire truck there with the stuff on front. They actually showed the villains and heroes coming together to stand with the first responders. So yeah, that's a really touching issue that's in here. This is a great, but yeah, besides that, great run, great art, great writing. J. Michael Straczynski's run of Spider-Man, I think, is like, is super iconic and is really good. And like I said, it's a really good place to start reading modern Spider-Man. All right, what else we got here? More coffee.
You can talk about the most famous covers of all time that you don't have.
Well, I'm trying to think. What are John Romita Jr.'s most famous covers?
Let's go.
Let me see. If I just look up or
Yeah, I think there's like a top 10.
oh, actually, I know what to do. So I search artists. John Romita Sr. Here we go. Oh my God, he has 1,000. We're gonna take out non-keys. And then let's see, we want Spider-Man. Oh, I did. Wait, I have this book. I didn't know. Wait, is this the book? Did he do this book? Oh yeah, look. I don't know if you can see what I'm looking at right now, but I have. Oh, this is a John. I have this book. It's in there somewhere, but this is a John Romita Sr. cover. I didn't know that. All right, and then what else we got here? Hold on. I want to go to his Amazing Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man. Where are you?
It's not this one, right?
No, but it's right near that one. Amazing Spider-Man Annual. Oh, I have this book as well. This is the, or no, I'm not sure. Oh yeah, there we go. So this is a John Romita Sr. cover. I did not know that. Oh, we got a little lag. Okay. Afraid my computer was going to die on me again. That's cool. Oh, this is a key too. I'm not sure. I don't remember what key. Oh, and I have this one. This is signed too. I could have. Who's this signed by? Steve Englehart. That's cool. He's the writer. Hey, what do you know? Learn something new every day. All right, and then going back here. Spectacular Spider-Man. Amazing Adventures. Where is? I don't know. Oh, is it here? Oh, I didn't know he did this book. Variant cover art by John Romita Sr. And it's the wedding of Spider-Man and Mary Jane. That's cool. Anyway, I think I'm about done talking about the Romitas, John Romita Sr. and John Romita Jr. They're awesome, though. And I recommend, following John Romita Jr. on Instagram and stuff. He might be on TikTok, too. I'm not sure. But really awesome creator. Super happy to have met him a few times. Let me make sure I'm still live because this is giving me an error. But I guess the next thing I want to talk about is the comics I picked up for New Comic Book Day. Actually, first, before I even get into that, I recently picked this up. I showed this a little earlier in the stream, but this is the Avengers 10. I believe this is from 64. And it is the first appearance of that variant of Kang, Immortus. But more importantly, it's the first time Avengers Assemble is ever said by Thor. Thor is actually the first one to say Avengers Assemble. And that's in this book. This book could be worth, in high grade, like, I'll get focused. There we go. This book could be worth like $900 in high grade. And then getting it graded, it's even more. But obviously mine is not. I mean, it's in pretty good shape. It has some water staining here, but besides that, it's in great shape. How did I acquire this book? I got it because, let's switch to this view. It is missing the pinup page. which to me makes no difference. So the pinup page was like a page that it was a big full page thing of Captain America, and then I think on the back it had ads. So removing that from this book doesn't take away any of the stories, any of the panels that are part of the story or anything like that. But it did make it cost $75 instead of, $280 or something like that, based on the grade. So when I saw this at my comic shop, I was like, you know what? And I didn't even ask for anything off. It was 75. I think they had it priced right. And this is the first Avengers Assemble, and it's really something where it's like, if I don't buy this like this, I don't know how I get this in my collection, because I don't know if I'm going to buy it for $300 or more than that, $900 in high grade. So, yeah, that's this book. Really cool. This book. I've been looking at this book at conventions and comic shops and everything for a while, and I never found the right one. Never got it, but I finally pulled the trigger and got this. This is Tales of the Teen Titans. This is 44. What's significant about this? It's the first appearance of Nightwing, or it's when Robin becomes Nightwing, and that's his here. Switch here. That's his iconic original Nightwing costume there, which is, I think, it's so funny, but it's so awesome. Like the deep V and the collar are freaking great. I wish they would make his modern costume like kind of like reminiscent of his original Nightwing costume, because I think it's really cool. But yeah, this is the first time you ever see him wearing the costume, and this is when he decides he's going to become a hero in his own right, not just a sidekick to Batman, but he's going to be Nightwing. And then you've got Deathstroke on the front here, but I believe at this time he was going by Terminator, and then this is Jericho over here. So really cool book. These are just two that I added to my collection recently that I thought were cool and I'd show on the stream. So here I have a bunch of books that need to be bag and boarded. But these are my pickups from yesterday. I don't go to the comic book store every single Wednesday. So when I do go, like once or twice, I probably go like once a month now, maybe twice. So they usually have a big stack for me. And something I'm always looking for is Zatanna. She just had another series that just ended, and they're already doing another one. They must be selling well, but this was really cool. I've got some smudges on it. I just picked that up because it was awesome. I have the A cover as well. But I love Zatanna. I love reading the backwards spells that she does. I always read them backwards to know what she's actually saying. And I just think it's kind of, she's one of those characters that it can be a little difficult to write for, because she can do, like, I don't know what her limits are in terms of what she can do with her magic. She can, teleport. She can make a fireball. She can cancel out other people's magic with her own, and it's hard to lock down exactly like everything. What are the limitations of her magic? Zatara was her father, and he was a really powerful character, and he was around in like the Golden Age or whatever. But anyway, I'm a big Zatanna fan, and maybe my wife is gonna go as Zatanna, and I'll go as Constantine, maybe next Halloween, which would be cool. I'm reading Absolute Batman. I'm reading all of the Absolute titles, so I picked up Batman. What else here? I've been picking up a lot of Scotty Young. He's been doing like the 8 deaths of Spider-Man. So here we have him drowning in quicksand. And then here we have him being eaten by looks like a venomized frog, which is great. My comic book shop knows if there's a Scotty Young cover, put it in my bag. So they're basically on notice right now that any Scotty Young cover that comes out, I want it. I may think about changing that soon, but every time I see them when they bring me my books, I get excited, and I get excited to bring them home to my wife, who really loves the Scotty Young ones. And we've met Scotty Young a couple times at the conventions, and he's signed a bunch of our books. I have a Transformers one signed by Scotty Young and Daniel Warren Johnson. Actually, here. There's this book is. I think this book is pretty valuable because it's a 9.8. It's signed by Scotty Young and Daniel Warren Johnson, and if we had gotten, I think they were selling this already graded, right?
Yes.
So we wouldn't have been able to get the Daniel Warren Johnson one on it if we had gotten it that way. So we got both of them, both creators, to sign it, and it's a 9.8. So actually, it was we were checking on eBay. I don't know if another one like that has even sold before, but I think this could be worth like hundreds. You know.
Yeah, let me look.
Okay, my wife's gonna look it up, but yeah, that's a that's actually one of my favorite books in my collection because I'll move this back over here because I love Scotty Young and I really love Daniel Warren Johnson. Daniel Warren Johnson is an amazing. He's like one of the best modern comic book creators. I could do a whole other, maybe one of my next lives. I'll talk about Daniel Warren Johnson because he's really cool and I kind of look like him with the beard and the hat. I have a picture standing next to him. We both have the beard and the hat, and we look a lot alike. And he's a really, really cool guy, and he's really blown up a lot recently. And of course, right now he's doing Transformers, which I think I have a Transformers in this pile right here. Hold on. Yeah, here we go. Now, is he still doing all these covers? It's either him or Jorge Corona. Is that who it was? Jorge Corona. And Jorge Corona has a very similar style to Daniel Warren Johnson, and they're both amazing creators. By the way, Jorge Corona is a Venezuelan artist, and I go buy something that Jorge Corona's name is on. It is beautiful, beautiful stuff. Middle West, really great stuff. Art. I think he's another one that I can think of as like modern comic book artist that's really great. But this is Daniel. That's another book that I picked up on my new comic book day is Transformers. I've been picking them all up. I'm way behind in reading them. I'm way behind in reading all the modern stuff. I'll just say that I'm getting into the absolute stuff right now, the absolute universe for DC. So Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman. And I just read Batman and Superman last night, both great. But I'm behind. So I'm a lot of these books that I'm going to show right now I haven't read yet. This is Ultimate Wolverine 2. The first one, I should have grabbed two of them off the shelf, but that's one of those books that like everybody was hyped about. And that's, I think one of the ones where they did like a bunch of printings because I don't think that in the original Ultimate Universe, I don't think there was an Ultimate Wolverine title. I mean, there was an Ultimate X-Men, but there wasn't like a solo Ultimate Wolverine. And so this is the first, the issue one, this is issue 2, but I have issue 1 as well. But that's one I'm going to hold on to and cross my fingers that one day, if this run goes really well, could be worth something. Oh, these are pretty cool. This is the question all along in the Watchtower. I thought it was all alone. Why isn't it all alone? It should be all alone, I feel like. But anyway, couple things here. Number one, the question is a girl now, which I am absolutely okay with, but I was surprised to see that when I saw, because in the first issue you can't tell, but when I saw the third issue, I was like, oh, it's a female question, so that's interesting. I have the question omnibus. I didn't pull it out for this stream, but it's really good, and it's really focuses on like detective work and stuff like that. So I'm hoping this series does the same thing, and I think the concept is really cool because basically the question right now in the DC Comics, so the Justice League is back in the Watchtower, their famous satellite, and they need someone there monitoring it and watching, guarding all because for some reason the Justice League always has like a treasure room of like all the weapons they've taken from their enemies. So they have the question there in the Watchtower, guarding all that stuff and dealing with whatever happens I think, because I haven't really read too far into this, but yeah, it's all along in the Watchtower. So that's pretty cool. Whoever's been doing these covers on New Gods is doing a freaking fantastic job. These are dope. I mean, these are some of my favorite covers I've been seeing recently, and the interior art on here is also really good. So, and I'm excited for the New Gods. I've always liked the New Gods in DC. And DC does a really bad job with working on their comic books outside of the Trinity, right? The Trinity is Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman. And they have so many cool side characters and other stuff. Like I was just talking about the question, or I was just mentioning to my wife earlier, they have like Zatanna. Like, why does Zatanna just got like 3 limited series in a row? Just make a Zatanna ongoing, put on a really good, put on someone big, for DC, a big writer, and have them take it and go. You could do a 50 issue series of Zatanna and people would buy it. They don't do like a super good job with their with their side characters, with their other heroes. I think Marvel has done a really good job of like bringing other heroes to the forefront. And that's that's why I'm talking about the New Gods, because the New Gods, to me, this is created by Jack Kirby, right? This is all out of Jack Kirby's mind. And they could be to DC what Asgard is to Marvel. There's a lot of similarities between like Highfather and Odin, who they call the All Father or whatever. So literally, like the parallels are crazy, and it's a lot different because you have like Darkseid and you have Mr. Miracle and Big Barda, which are all characters I love. But you could do so much with this. So when I saw they're doing a New Gods series, I was like, okay, I'm buying that, and I'm crossing my fingers that it's going to be good, and that people are going to pick this up, and that it's going to hopefully have a long run. I don't know if it's already like, I don't know if it's already set that it's going to be a certain amount of issues, but I hope it runs for a while, and I hope people like it. I am picking up Immortal Thor. It's been really good. I have read about half of this run so far. I'm halfway behind on catching up with this, but the art's good, and Alex Ross is doing all the covers. So sometimes I want to buy a book just because Alex Ross is doing the covers, and it will be cool to, when this comes to a close, have every issue with all the Alex Ross covers. Also, this is being done by Al Ewing. I hope that's how you say his name. It's Ewing. Anyway, he killed it on Immortal Hulk. And so everybody's kind of seeing this as like the follow-up. Like Immortal Hulk is like one of the best Hulk runs of all time. It's one of my favorite comic book runs of all time. And now he's doing Immortal Thor. So I hope it carries the same way as Immortal Hulk did, and I hope it's just as good. From what I've read so far, it's really good. I don't know if it's quite as good as Immortal Hulk yet, but it'll get there, and everybody's kind of cheering for this book to do well. Then we've got, okay, this is the big thing going on now, and I guess they're pushing it because of Doom coming up soon in the MCU. One World Under Doom, and then there was a few other titles that were like Doomified. But I only got this one, and this is Doom Academy. So it's supposed to be like Strange Academy, but with Dr. Doom, and I have no idea what goes on in there, but they looked cool. I was just talking to the guy behind the counter in my comic book store, and they had a issue of Strange Academy back there. And I was saying to him, and it was like they had it on there for like $60, I think, based on the grade. But that book is could be worth around $75 now. And I was saying, like, that's great, that Strange Academy, and I may have one in my boxes buried somewhere, but I always get happy when I see like a modern book doing well, like being worth something, like, because Strange Academy is only a few years ago, and it's already becoming a little bit of a valuable book. So that's pretty cool. And this is supposed to be like that, but this is Doom Academy. And then I just have these, which I just read yesterday. Absolute Batman 1, Absolute Superman 1, and I'm going to read this one today. Absolute Wonder Woman. I think the Absolute universe that they're doing is a really cool idea. I think having Scott Snyder just writing anything is great for DC, because I think he's one of the, in terms of modern comics, Scott Snyder is one of the best recent writers. I think he's done. They gave him the reins a while at DC, and he did a great job with all his big events and all the stuff he's written. So, and of course, his Batman run that he did for the New 52 is like, people think that's one of the best Batman runs of all time. It's one of my favorite runs, just comic book runs of all time. So, yeah, Scott Snyder. I always get excited when I see him on anything. He's done some indie stuff that has gone okay, but I'm trying to think if any of that's still going. I don't know. But anyway, how long have I been going now, baby? An hour? All right. I don't have anything else over here. Anyway, that is my Thursday. Bunch of new comics from New Comic Book Day. Excited to start reading those. I'm going to stream again on Sunday. And I'm trying to get better at these. I'm trying to get more like relaxed and used to doing these streams, and it just saves me some time to do these videos this way, where I don't have to edit them and stuff, and I can just, talk about comic books and get my thoughts out there. And I'm happy I was able to do this whole thing about John Romita Jr. and John Romita Sr. because I really love them as creators, and I think they really should get, so much appreciation for how much they've done for comics, both his father and John Romita Jr. And I have so much of their work in my collection that I just wanted to show that off, And, like I said, I'm going to try to get on a kind of a regular schedule with Lies. I think I want to do Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. So if you want to catch my next one, I'll be doing Sunday probably around the same time, around like 5 or 6.
And you're going to be posting videos for everybody.
And I'll be posting my short. Yeah, I post anywhere between 3 to 4 shorts a week, where I kind of do a deeper dive into some of the comics that I've just been adding to my collection, a lot of the Silver Age stuff and things that I pick up when I'm hunting and things like that. So I'm gonna stick, still doing that 3 to 4 shorts a week, and I'm gonna try to do live 3 days a week. So, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate a like and a subscribe, and yeah,